The surface is calm, the depth is tension. An invisible line of threat is drawn beneath the ripples. The predator retreats, but the water retains the memory of its presence. The ripple of the beginning quietly spreads through the frame. The charge of the hooves shakes the ground. The moving weight awakens the river's hidden threat. Concealed forms shift beneath the opaque, muddy surface. An unseen danger silently saturates the peaceful current. The first leap is a tear in the silence. The river is swallowed by the bodies of the herd. The parting water reveals the velocity of the flight. The chaotic splash propels the action into a fever pitch. A dark line moves through the murky depths. The submerged eyes are the river's ultimate warning. The water explodes, the formation shatters. A moment of darkness grips the river's soul. The water erupts in a desperate, violent rotation. The creature's trapped limb is dragged down into the center of the chaotic maelstrom. The river's core convulses with the victim's frantic contortions. A chaotic, swirling maelstrom engulfs the spark of life entirely. Panic spreads through the broken line. The harsh current drives the herd apart. Momentum gathers in the synchronized flanking shadows. The disturbed water creates the precise lane for the decisive strike. The instant the feet meet the bank, all tension is released. The violent whirlpool receding behind marks the boundary of survival. Composure returns as the agitated water gradually settles. The disappearance of a body seals the river's silent tragedy. The subject exposes its neck to the quiet, inviting disaster. The fading of the ripples is unnaturally swift, a silent anomaly. A dark line breaches the surface. The unblinking eyes are fixed beneath the prey. The water violently bursts, marking the instant of finality. The full crushing force is deployed against the struggling limb. The water fights back against the tipping body. Strained muscle rips the current apart. The water violently fractures beneath the stabilizing hooves. A single, terrified gasp hangs suspended over the water. The failing strength is met by the final collapse of the waves. The obscurity of the water now entirely consumes the submerged form. water spins into the final vortex. Control is lost and the legs tremor. The churning water conceals the rising form of the predator. The danger is focused entirely on the vulnerable, emerging tip of the head. The second turn pulls the body under. The victim is consumed by the swirl. Only ripples mark the spot where the form disappeared. The falling darkness claims the river's light. All evidence of the struggle is lost beneath the newly closed surface. The scene is dominated only by the opaque, disturbed water. The silence returns, but the peace does not. The shadow of the next hunter is already here. A dense, horizontal form traces the current beneath the obscurity. A subtle threat of force begins to radiate from the emerging contour. A menacing figure materializes, borne on the restless current. The perimeter of safety shrinks with every inch of closing distance. The gaze is uncovered. The danger is absolute. A sharp intake of breath cuts the silence. The immense bulk cleaves the water, announcing its dominance. A crushing pressure radiates through the previously calm current. As he sinks, the muddy shadow rises. The tension grows with every slow ripple. The immense form erupts from the depths, shattering the water. Lethal intent is sharpened at the exposed, gaping maw. The muscle impact creates a vortex. The losing body is pulled under the current. The struggle forces the mud to the surface. The crushed form is consumed by the murky depth. The struggle fractures the flow. The rising tail is the final vulnerability. The flow is pressed. The light is gone. The existence of the creature fades into the depths. The final ripples trace the spot where the form disappeared. The settling bulk of the predator now asserts total dominion over the river. The silence returns with the giant's retreat. The aura of the next challenger is already shaking the earth. A thin, hidden line divides the clear water. The approaching hooves carry the tension of the hunt. The water is divided by the silhouette of the feeding animal. All senses are heightened and concentrated within the moment of repose. The surface explodes as the jaws clamp down. The captured leg is bent into the void. The prey is crushed by the strength of the hold. The brief, final gasp is pulled under again. The vanquished form is forced beneath the surging flow. The depths of the river silently consume the silhouette's last trace. The underwater turmoil clouds the visibility. The immense pressure of the jaws extinguishes the last vestiges of strength. The churning below forms a flower of chaos on the deep surface. The struggling silhouette is lost to the obscurity of the flow. The final rotation settles the water, sealing the prey's fate. A dwindling ring of ripples is all that is left of the vanished form. The shadow has been swallowed by the void. The empty center is the only movement left. A trail of final bubbles marks the passage of the submerged form. The sheer sinking weight settles a crushing pressure onto the water's surface. All a sign of the event is sealed beneath the closing surface. The only witness to the act is the disturbed, cloudy water. The river sleeps, but the tension never leaves. The next shadow is already emerging on the horizon. The water is still. The silence is absolute. The river continues its course in a gentle whisper. Sunlight bathes the victor's slow form. The threat is gone. Only the river remains. A ghost of the wind touches the flow. The tiny ripples are the final echo of the vanished form. The surface is draped in gentle, fading light. The scattered motes of dust soften the end of the day. The brief, menacing presence dissolves back into the depths. The lingering blur on the water is the sole sign of the act. The sky's light opens a clear path. Passing birds are the only sound in the deep silence. The breath of the moment rests on the calm flow. Only the murmur of the river is heard in the stillness. The last vestiges of sunlight are consumed by the stretching dark. The twilight hour descends upon the savannah,